One of my earliest memories happens to also be a gaming memory. It captured my love for video games and stoked the flames for my very irrational fear of robots. Now, does this make me a masochist of sorts? Maybe. Because why else would I, a 4 to 5-year-old at the time, become terrified of robots, yet still end up loving this game series that created that fear? But we're not going to get into that, because this is a gaming channel and you're not my therapist. But to get back on track, I want to talk about not only one of my earliest memories, not only one of my earliest video game memories, but also my first M-rated video game memory. This game had a metal storyline. It turned the gears in my young mind, and overall was a pretty solid package. If you haven't guessed what I'm going to be talking about, well, I'm about to tell you. I'm excited to embark on this journey with you to explore the wonders of my very first M-rated video game, Metal Gear Solid. Like many kids with responsible parents, my dad let me play Metal Gear Solid 1 at a young age. Spoilers for a 22-year-old game. I specifically remember the scene when Gray Fox is fighting Metal Gear Rex, and Rex pulls him from the ledge he's haphazardly hanging from and crushes Fox under its foot. That moment in time scarred me, but in all of the right ways. Like a raccoon with its hand stuck in a trap, I figuratively couldn't let go of that game. I was fueled by some sort of wonderment that captivated me. I had never played much of any video game back then, yet the first one I played was one of the most masterful games of its time, and dare I say, to this day. This game pretty much nailed everything from the graphics to the story and voice acting. With games like Resident Evil coming out only a few years before, this was an astronomical leap forward for voiceover.
Jill, here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Do you think love can bloom, even on a battlefield?
Yeah, I do. I think at any time, any place, people can fall in love with each other.
Now, I'm not saying that the VO in Metal Gear Solid is crazy superb like something that you'd expect in Uncharted, but I'd say it's more comparable to a campy but well done anime. Also, no shade to Resident Evil either. That's another one of my favorite franchises of all time. I might cover it one day, but I suggest you check out the Sphere Hunter's in-depth analysis of the series if you're looking to get some grade A content. Now, there's not much that I can say about Metal Gear Solid that hasn't been said already, but I can try to make this a retelling something that's unique to me and why I found it so good. With recent rumors about the series making a comeback to PlayStation 5, I figured this would be a great video to make. I'll do my best to break down the minutiae of its art. For those of you who aren't familiar with Metal Gear Solid 1, I'll give you a basic rundown. But like I said, do expect a few spoilers. Now, this is technically the third title in the series, but it's the starting point for a lot of people. I say technically the third title because Snake's Revenge unfortunately exists and was made without the involvement of Hideo Kojima. We don't talk about that game. Set in the year 2005, the game starts off with the main character, Solid Snake, infiltrating a nuclear disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island that was taken over by an elite operative unit known as Foxhound, Snake's old unit. With Colonel Roy Campbell in your ear, and a contact book full of other allies you can communicate with throughout the game, Snake is tasked with rescuing DARPA Chief Donald Anderson and Arms Tech President Kenneth Baker as they've both been kidnapped. Roy also tasks Snake with making sure his niece, Meryl, is safe. She was a rookie soldier who was imprisoned because she didn't want to join Foxhound's insurrection to rebel against the US government. From there, a host of larger-than-life characters test your skill in combat. You've got the half-naked, Gatling gun-toting, tank-using shaman they call Vulcan Raven, a slick, revolver-twirling Russian known as Revolver Ocelot, a murderous, psychopathic psychic named Psycho Mantis, and many more. There is no shortage of interesting personalities to face off with. All of these challenging bosses lead up to a fantastic final sequence against the main antagonist of the game, Liquid Snake, a man with an equally cool codename as Solid Snake, who just so happens to be his twin brother. Just so we're not confused, I'll refer to Solid Snake as just Snake, and Liquid Snake is just Liquid. Throughout the game, Snake is confronted with his past, learns secrets about his former unit, Foxhound, and paves a new path for himself. He creates new connections and reestablishes fractured ones. Now, with each video I create, I want to play through the game so I can refresh my thoughts on them. During my time replaying through Metal Gear Solid 1, I took a few notes and had a couple nitpicks. During Snake's mission, as he comes across both Donald Anderson and Kenneth Baker, the targets he's supposed to be saving, mid-conversation they both die of a sudden heart attack. I'm doing air quotes right now. Now, this is due to Snake being injected with something called Fox Dye before he went out on his mission by Naomi Hunter. She was on the support team for Snake as the head of Foxhound's medical staff. Fox Dye is a virus that targets people based on their DNA and nanomachines in their body and causes them to go into a cardiac arrest. Snake doesn't know that he's been injected with the virus at this point, and so when he meets up with Otacon after Meryl tells him to go find him, he gets all uncharacteristically worried for a bit.
You're not in pain, are you?
Huh?
You feel okay? Nothing bothering you?
What's wrong? Getting all friendly all of a sudden.
No, nothing. I'm glad you're okay.
You're strange.
That part always makes me laugh. There's a cutscene when you're about to face off against Vulcan Raven for the second time, and he asks Snake about the Eskimo Indian Olympics, and Raven goes on about how he's a formidable opponent in the ear-pulling contest. I wouldn't doubt that, I mean, look at the man. But I'm just imagining this hulking man putting string around his ear and basically ripping other people's ears off. This moment right here. What? How did no one notice him? There is a sense of excitement when you would gain a new level of a keycard because you would want to go back and explore different areas that you had previously visited to open doors that you didn't have access to before. This kind of backtracking is fun because it gives you a reason to go back and see old areas. Sometimes it's required. But one part of the game that absolutely dragged for me is when you have the PAL card, which is the card used to arm or disarm Metal Gear. You have to backtrack to different locations to heat and freeze the key. You literally had to go to the command room, and then you lose the key because it falls into the drainage. Then you gotta go all the way back down and look for it, because of course the command room's 3 or 4 floors up. But wait, it's not in the drainage anymore because a rat ate it. So you have to wait for a rat to show up, and then you have to shoot it with your sniper rifle. But wait, your hands are trembling, so you have to take a pentazimine. I think that's how you pronounce it. And that's an anxiety drug that stops your hands from trembling, so you can shoot the rat. Then you gotta go all the way back up to the command room, which has like 3 or 4 loading screens. Enter the key at room temperature. After that, you make your way to the previous boss area with Raven to freeze the key. Then go back to the command room to enter the key, then backtrack again to the furnace room, which is farther than the room where you needed to go last time, and wait to heat the key. Then finally go back to the command room and put the heated key in the last slot. It felt like there wasn't a lot of steam left for the final act, and it was there so you can have these necessary codec calls that happen on the elevator rides there and back. It's funny because multiple times during the game they bring up how 3 keycards are needed to disarm Metal Gear, but you only ever have the 1. So it was alluded to for most of the game that something weird would happen with the key, and I figure they had to come up with some wacky scheme to justify it. If it was exhausting listening to me, just imagine playing through that. One thing that's just as legendary as the game itself is the artwork. Yoji Shinkawa has been by Kojima's side for almost 30 years, and his first formal job as an artist actually began with Metal Gear Solid. His first assignment was to create Metal Gear, but after having a hard time conceptualizing him on paper, Shinkawa had brought it to life by creating a model of Metal Gear. In the interview I got this information from, he doesn't specify on how that model was made, but obviously it wasn't on paper. The point I'm trying to make is that one of the first things that the Metal Gear Solid team saw of Shinkawa's work wasn't even his artwork that got him hired in the first place, and I find that pretty funny. From then on, history was made. Shinkawa might not be the first name you think of when you think of Metal Gear Solid, but his work is revered in the gaming industry alongside Kojima. I mean, just look at these two. Tell me you don't look at these guys and just know they get things done. This wouldn't be a Metal Gear Solid video if I didn't mention Yoji Shinkawa, so I had to pop the shout out in there. Thank you for all of your awesome work. Something unique exists within the storytelling, and at the time of this game's release, you didn't really see this in other games. Metal Gear Solid 1 and the series as a whole is about identity. With the main cast lies the desire to be something more, or at least realizing that they want to be something more. That's a very common struggle I'd say that many people, including myself, have dealt with. During the events of the game, Snake tells Meryl that war is the only thing that makes him feel alive. Many people attest to that throughout the game too. Raven even says it's as if a demon possesses Snake on the battlefield. Through the many struggles Snake goes through, as well as through the people he meets, something within him changes. Otacon becomes a beacon of morality of sorts to Snake, and they become best friends, even going as far as creating a non-governmental organization called Philanthropy that collects data on Metal Gears being produced around the globe, and they often destroy them. Meryl seems to soften his heart as well, and they become a testament to the question of if love can bloom on a battlefield, even if it didn't last that long according to the novelizations. Meryl goes to many lengths to prove to herself that she can be a soldier, but to her folly ends up almost mortally wounded. Although she starts off her journey here as a rookie, Meryl realizes a lot about the person she is as she ventures with Snake throughout the events of the game, and by the end becomes more sure of herself than ever. She even ends up becoming a super badass character that we see a lot more of in Metal Gear Solid 4. Naomi studied genetics because she believed that genes would show a person their future. She wanted to know who she was. She concluded that genetics don't show what a person becomes, but only show the potential of what a person could become. And based off this conclusion, she finds that she doesn't need to find a reason to live, but to just enjoy the life that she was given and just live. At the end of the day, we all choose what we want to believe. And that's all well and good, but I hope that we all choose the right things for ourselves. Identity is such a vital part of living, and if we can't find ours or come to grips with who we are, life could seem that it's not all it's cracked up to be. Being content with the choices we make, learning from our past rather than living in it, that's what we should be choosing. We all have our demons, and life sometimes can truly take turns knocking each of us down, but finding your voice, existing in that truth, and living a life that makes you happy is all we really have. If you aren't happy with yourself, do your best to find ways to make those changes. That could be in the form of checking in with a friend or finding a therapist, whatever that may be for you. It might not be as bombastic as the events in this game, but all of our journeys are different. One thing I know for sure is that I've been to dark places and have gone through hard times. I spent years not knowing my true identity. I'd say that I'm still searching, but I'm definitely on the right path, and life has been kind to me lately. Going through Metal Gear Solid 1 has been that reminder that even in video games, which some people might find unfulfilling or immature, artistry can be found. Sometimes we take the medium for granted, and we tend to look at the microtransactions and the money gouging and the poor state some games release in, but there has always existed a side to video games that can truly change the world. And that is the power that it has to change hearts. I don't know if you guys had noticed, but like somewhere in the video, my voice, it started, excuse me, it started to like, get all raspy. Okay, I think, yeah, my voice is back now. Sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. If you guys made it this far, I want to say thank you for watching. It's been a little over a month since I said I was making my return to YouTube, and life and things got in the way, things meaning myself. I tend to overanalyze the work I want to do, and I end up leaving videos unfinished if I don't find it good enough. But I need to remember that I'm not doing this for a paycheck or anything. I want to do this because it's fun. I want to talk to people about video games and make videos for people who like them, including myself. So hopefully putting this out is a reminder to keep going. I really appreciate everybody who got me over to 100 subscribers. I know it's not a crazy milestone, but to me it feels like the start of something bigger. I want to be a cool place where you can step away from the wildness that is life and enjoy a chill guy for however long my videos will be. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little slice of Metal Gear Solid that will forever be my first M-rated video game.